Jake here for American Muscle, and today I'm taking a look at the Bilstein B6 Performance Series rear shock fitting 2011 to 2023 Challengers without the self-leveling Neva Matte suspension. Nothing can change how your car feels quite like new shocks, and whether you're looking for a replacement for aging or worn out factory shocks, or just something that will give your Challenger a bit more performance, Bilstein's B6 is going to be a great fit. Bilstein is one of the best known suspension manufacturers, and for good reason. Their stuff is always just flat out good. I've had Bilsteins on a few of my own vehicles, and I can tell you from experience that they are really solid products, and they also stand behind their warranty. Now, the B6 in particular is the middle child of their lineup, bookended by the B4 and the B8, and it splits the difference between them quite well. While the B4 is a standard OEM replacement, it's going to feel almost identical to your factory shocks, and the B8 is designed for lowered applications and higher performance. The B6 that we have here is a great choice for the driver who wants to get some better handling out of their Challenger without compromising on the ride quality or having to lower it. The B6 features firmer damping versus stock, so it's going to make for improved handling characteristics out on the street or your favorite back road. However, Bilstein has tested the B6 over and over again to make sure that it sticks as close as possible to your factory type of ride quality. It's designed to utilize your stock spring and the spring purchased in the same location, and the actual travel of the shock is the same as your stock one as well. So this is recommended for vehicles that are sitting at their stock ride height, that also experience heavier cornering or suspension loads than they might have from the factory. This one is an inverted monotube design, and it's got an internal bump stop as well. So even if you do manage to bottom this out, it's not going to blow out the shock body. It makes for a composed, planted feeling out on the road. Now, it is worth mentioning that, as you might have guessed, these are sold separately. So you are going to need two of these for the rear. We also have the matching front shocks available on our site, and I would highly recommend picking up a set of those as well, because Bilstein engineers them to work best as a fully matched set. The bodies of the shock are comprised of high-strength steel, finished off in that signature yellow coating to make for added protection. The shafts and pistons are chromed and hardened for extra strength as well, meaning that all this should last you quite a long time. You also get new OEM-grade bushings at both the top and bottom mounting points, and the new plate, so it's going to give you pretty much everything you need to replace your shocks. All you're going to need to do is save the hardware from your originals. Bilstein also backs these up with a lifetime warranty against defects, and I can tell you from experience they are good about honoring that. Just make sure you save your receipt. The B6s will run you about $175 each, and that does put them on the more expensive side for a shock absorber. However, Bilstein's quality plus their research and development are worth paying the extra money for. These will give you that factory ride quality with far superior handling and control, and even at the price, they shouldn't really break the bank. Installation gets a 2 out of 3 and should only take you about an hour per shock. However, again, double that if you're doing both in the rear, and add some more time if you're doing it in the front too. The process is pretty straightforward. You don't need to mess with the spring compressor or anything for this application. It's just a matter of unbolting the stock one and bolting this guy in. However, you are going to need to get up there, and getting those bolts out can be a chore. So with that, why don't we head over to the install bay now, and we'll walk you through the process.
The tools you'll need for this project are an impact gun or a ratchet, a short extension, a 15mm, a 16mm socket, and an 18mm wrench. Hi everyone. Today we're replacing rear shocks on our Challenger, so let's get started with the uninstall. All right, once you've got your vehicle properly supported either on a lift such as what we've got, or a set of jack stands and using a floor jack, and you get your wheel removed, now we can go ahead and actually put the jack back underneath the lower control arm just to relieve the tension that's going to be on that lower shock bolt. Once you've got that done, then we can go ahead and remove that lower shock bolt first using a 15mm socket and an 18mm wrench. Now with that out of the way, we can go ahead and lower our control arm so that we can take out the upper bolts. Now to remove these two upper bolts here, you're going to need a 16mm socket. If you've got a swivel, that's even better. If not, a regular 16mm socket will work. Now with those bolts out of the way, you can go ahead and compress the shock a little bit in order to get it to clear out of the fender well, and then lift it up out of the control arm at the bottom. Now that our old shock is out of the way, we can go ahead and install our new one. Now to install our new shock, it's going to require a little bit of strength and a little bit of speed. Because what you're going to have to do is compress the shock, and then while you've got it compressed as much as possible, you're going to have to try and slip it in to the lower control arm and get the top of the shock up into place. And you have to work pretty quickly because there is a lot of compression in this shock, and if you don't move quickly, you will have problems getting it in because it doesn't want to fit. So let's go ahead and compress our shock. So once you've got it compressed, you're going to go ahead and grab the lower rod on the shock and move as quickly as you can to get it put into place. And try and keep it as compressed as you can while moving it in. All right, now that we've got it into place, we'll go ahead and put in our upper shock mount bolts. And then we'll go ahead and tighten them up with our 16mm socket. Now with our upper shock installed, you can see that our lower control arm bolt does not mate up with our lower shock mount bolt. So this is where you're going to need your jack again, and just raise that lower control arm up so that the holes line up and we can go ahead and insert our bolt. And once you've got the holes lined up, go ahead and reinsert your original bolt, put the nut on the other end, and now tighten it up with your 15mm socket and your 18mm wrench. And now you can repeat that whole process for the other side. And that wraps up our review and install of the Bilstein B6 Performance Series rear shock for the 2011 and newer Challenger. Thanks for watching, and remember, for all things Challenger, keep it right here at AmericanMuscle.com.